Hi, I'm Dana, and today I'm going to talk about mobile versus studio permanent jewelry business and which is most suitable for you. First, what we're going to talk about, this is an overview, is that what is mobile, what constitutes as mobile and what that looks like versus what is a studio business like. And then we're going to talk about the pros and cons of mobile versus the pros and cons of studio. And thereafter discuss what is the greatest factor that one should consider. So here we go. What is mobile? Mobile business is, there's no fixed location. So it's not out of your home, it's not a basement, it's not somewhere in a location. There's no fixed address. And that includes a professional, non-professional, residential. Basically, there is no location. You travel to the clients and not the other way around. Now, what is a studio? Basically, the studio situation is quite the opposite. It has a permanent location and it's always there, unless, when I say always, is that people count on it to be always there. There's an actual address, and it could be either inside a home, basement, studio, garage, whatnot, to a boutique, a salon. So there is an actual location, and it could be shared, such as a store within a store, or you're taking a section in a market situation with other businesses shared, or independent standalone boutique. So that doesn't matter. Essentially though, the client travels to you, to the business location, and not the other way around. Okay, pros and cons of mobile jewelry business, and there are lots of pros. For example, there's no studio rent. This is great because rent is exorbitant, and depending on where you're located. So for example, I'm in Toronto, and rent that I used to pay for prior to owning my own place is so 1,400 square feet. I paid about 70 some odd thousand, almost just under $80,000 a year because of high property taxes. So, and that's downtown, that's not even retail. Retail is a lot more expensive. Okay, so it's, you go where the business is, right? Sometimes there are locations where there's no foot traffic or very little. In this case, you are going after the foot traffic. There are people, and you're bringing your business there. So it allows some flexibility if there are certain things happening, be it a festival, a party, engagement, event, you're going to them where the foot traffic is. The other thing is, it's wonderful that you can now attain all the niche markets, such as the super upscale, those people who would never travel to get a service, and you go to them, and they are willing to pay for it. So you can offer the white glove service and focus on not a huge amount of volume, but something that's higher end. So it allows for you to capture, depending on how you can market your business, it allows you to capture that market as well. So the other thing is, and more importantly for mobile businesses, is that you are now able to go to these lucrative events such as weddings, engagements, bat mitzvahs, school fundraisers, charitable fundraisers, festivals, and you can plan your business around all of that, which is great because there'll always be fabulous events happening around major city, around your state, province. So you're flexible enough because you don't have the other kinds of overhead that you can follow that and be extremely lucrative that way. The other thing is it allows for a flexible lifestyle. You're not having to be someplace 9 to 5 at a location. You can move around. This could be a side gig if you have a full-time job or you have kids. It allows flexibility that probably would not be able to, that you would not otherwise be able to do. And the other thing is, in doing this flexible lifestyle, you can actually also blog about it as you're traveling through. So there could be a story that helps your marketing as well. So now the cons. The cons of a mobile jewelry business or any business is that there is a lack of location that is for after sale care. So a customer might wonder, okay, if I get this, if I don't like it, if I have a problem, where can I find you? There's that lack of permanence that perhaps would put a customer off because they're not sure. Whereas if you had a store, a studio, and they know that if there's a problem or they're not happy, they can come back. So there's that hesitation. But the way you can counter that is if you have, one, you should always have a receipt with your info so they can get a hold of you if ever there's a problem. But also that helps you build your business as well. If you're doing a pop-up somewhere, you want them to have your information so that they can contact you if they want more, and also through word of mouth. But that their fear that fly by night, you disappear, if there's a problem, they're not happy with the service, give them a schedule of where you're going to be next if you already know. The other thing is let them know that, I will be back in around here. Speak to if it's a pop-up venue, let them know that I'm going to be back shortly, next month or whatnot. But meanwhile, here's my information. So I will stamp the handmade product so that it will be, if there's a problem, if there's a breakage or anything, I will extend it to 2 months when I'm going to be back in a month's time. So in that way, you can add, you can assure the customer that you will offer great after service care. Have a plan where you're going to be. Plans can change, but always have a plan that would help. Okay. You must be able to travel. I guess that is the thing. And that could mean you have to be able to, you might have to own a car or rent a car. Also, that's being on the road a lot. It's not for everybody. And if, for example, you have family obligations, you have to be able to pick up the kids, or you're gonna have to be in a certain location, you end up missing out on sales because you don't have a set schedule and you have to travel. Okay, well, obviously travel costs, especially when gas prices have gone up the roof, through the roof. And sometimes people underestimate that cost, underestimate the time, there's traffic. And the other thing is insurance costs always go up. They look at how many kilometers, what your mileage is. And then when it's time to renew your insurance, it goes way higher. So, and the other thing is people forget to write off and estimate the write-off of the car. It depreciates, it breaks down more easily. So there's something to consider. There are many travel costs that people underestimate. The other thing is in Toronto or LA, you hear about that traffic, and there's a great deal of travel stress. And even if you love it and you try to tune that stuff out, listening to podcasts, there is an underlying amount of stress. Okay, when I was giving this talk at PJX, the Permanent Jewellery Expo in Vegas, we had a really great conversation about this and about safety. So, unlike being in a studio where you have cameras, you're in your comfort zone and not theirs, you're going to someone else's venue. Could be traveling to their home, house party or whatnot. It's their place, and they might do things that they would not otherwise do, or have, yes, the bravery to do it. And also, you don't know what you're stepping into. Safety is number one in this case. However, here are a few things that is common sense. And I grew up in Toronto. I went to a lot of clubs, and there was some protocol. I have 3 daughters, so I'm very careful. And these are some of the things that you can do. Always have a logbook, so that's shareable to the minute by someone else. You should, at all times, somebody needs to know where you're going to be, the contact person, how long it should be for you to get there, to get the event, and so on. I always have a code, preferably that you go with someone else, the 2 of you. But there's some codes. For example, if you're in your car, you're about to go in, text that person. That person is to say that I'm in, I've taken an outside look. I'm going in. That person calls you at exactly, could be 10, 15 minutes, it could be 5 minutes, so that when you go in, you're scanning the place, whether or not it's safe. Have a code word. Could be that if it's not good, oh yeah, I forgot that. Just give me a second. I think I have it in my car. That's your exit. Or it could be, that means I'm hightailing out of there. So you run, you go out, you don't come back. Or it could be that, oh yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, maybe you can bring it over. So that means not so sure. And the person listening, those people listening, will know that somebody's going to be coming soon. So they're just know your code word, and for that person also to check up on you in 30 minutes. Have a routine going so that they know when to come and extract you if need be. So now, don't carry so much cash. That's another worry. One of the ladies at the PJX had said, always, she never handles cash. Have those things and let them know you don't have cash. And sometimes what I say is, when I'm booking something, or sometimes, for example, for me, I don't do these pop-ups like this, but I do a lot of renovations, or I've had to do a lot of renovations and by myself, and there'd be a construction site or room or in the house at some place that no one's living in because I haven't moved in, and there is a room full of guys, many of the laborers I don't know. So what I always say is, oh yes, when I'm calling, I say, I'm coming with my husband. I go there, it's like, oh, who's your husband? Or do I need their approval? They say, where's, oh, he's coming. Or if I'm home, my husband's going to be coming home soon. Whether or not he is, it could be held up on traffic, but you just let them know that the other person is coming in another car. It's not a whole lot of safety or assurance for you, but it's something, and maybe they'll give them pause if they were thinking either of doing something untoward or something. Okay. So, what else? Basically, all of the protocols, safety protocols that you have that's allowed in your state. Someone said, oh, she brings bear spray, pepper spray. Well, some places it's not allowed. So check on that. Another thing that someone else said was, oh, yes, I bring key or something that has sharp object. Again, know the laws in your state, province, and also remember that certain weapons you cannot have. However, if it is self-defense, a weapon of opportunity, then it's okay. So if you happen to wear a ring that has sharp points, it's easier to argue. And if you happen to have a bat in your trunk with a baseball, then it is a weapon of opportunity, and not if you just carry a bat or a crowbar. Maybe a crowbar. You could say that. I don't know. Would you ever use a crowbar in your car? I suppose. I don't know how to use a crowbar for a car to change tires. I don't even know what you need. But anyway, so keep those things in mind. Okay. Oh, it is really hard to hire staff on a regular basis if you are mobile, just as that's harder to hire for than working. I used to operate in a kiosk in the middle of a mall. That was harder until I was able to a store with a storefront, and harder still. It was still harder than an office environment. So there is, I think people have a perception of what a steady job is. And when you do not have a location, even though it is always busy, you have a steady income, it is a little bit more difficult. And you have to do it yourself oftentimes. Okay, so let's talk about the pros and cons of permanent jewelry studio business in a studio. Permanent. Okay, getting myself confused. Okay. Location signals commitment that you mean, that you mean business, right? There's a sense of permanence. You seem more legit, and people can find you easily and they feel more comfortable with that. that would help especially if they're trying something new, like permanent jewelry for the first time and they don't know if it's going to break, how it's going to work, etc. And they're worried. So when you have a location that they think, okay, if this thing falls off of me in a week, you're gonna fix it, right? So having a location helps. It's way easier to hire help for all the reasons I had mentioned. The other thing is sometimes people don't realize that when you have more space, you have now add-on sales while people are waiting for their bracelets to be welded. You can sell them all sorts of things. Having your own space, more space. This could be soap, earrings, could be all sorts of things. And your surroundings are more comfortable. You can have a pot of coffee going. It's your home away from home. So it is really good to have your own studio for all those things. A nice parking spot and also it's more regular, less travel cost. You know where you're going, unless you live across town from your boutique or store. You can plan better exactly where you're going to be. It's great for routine. Okay, so what are the cons? Like I was saying, major con is rent. So in Toronto, for example, and it's way more expensive, I am certain, in San Francisco and New York, Chicago, but in Toronto, on average, it is $50 per square foot of space. And then, like as I was saying, if it's 1,000 square feet boutique, it will cost you over $70,000 with taxes and maintenance. If you are in a high traffic area, it would be way more. And so for a retail location downtown, it would be at least $10,000 a month. And that's a lot. Sometimes second floor home studios would be a lot cheaper. So keep that in mind. Okay. Leases, it's a lot longer commitment. I don't think you can actually get a lease now for retail. Well, maybe if it's softer in certain locations, but prior to COVID, you could not get a lease anything less than 3 years with 2 years of options. So usually it was 5-year lease, but you can have 2 years, you can leave 2 years earlier. So it's a lot, and it's higher investment because you don't just lease a spot, you have to do renovations, lighting, etc. Moving costs. Then there is insurance for the perimeter. You would have insurance even as a mobile because of the car and liability insurance. But when you have studio, you have flood, fire, as well as liability. So it costs a lot of money, and then quite easily, a boutique, if you do it nicely, is $100,000 to $200,000 for renovations alone. So, yeah. The other thing is, you might want to, so the investment part, in this case, you might want to consider sharing a location. So if it's a large boutique, say, that you know of, you could share a portion either in a salon or boutique, flower shop or something. So in a certain area. And more that's happening in a lot of city centers because as well, COVID mixed things around. And then since then, also a number of businesses have decided to partner up in this way, so that they look out for one another. And sometimes you have to be mobile to get the business, or sometimes we've just had to do a lot more to get the same amount of money. And because also there are emerging markets like permanent jewelry that quite often we have to travel and see how, because it's a new business model. So it's important to figure out ways of sharing. Okay, yes, more overhead. Some of the overheads that people sometimes forget is, heating, air conditioning, especially different months, property insurance and maintenance. So it is a lot more. Okay, so now the greatest factor that we really want to think about is the lifestyle. Am I a road warrior? Do I want to be always on the go? And looking at it, we want to figure out what kind of lifestyle which fits the most. Now, while I was at the PJX giving this talk, someone said, oh, she had a unique opportunity, or she created the opportunity, and her unique operation is it's a hybrid, a used camper which she towed, and she retrofitted this camper into a tiny studio that people can come in and sit in. Now, okay, mind you, that's a large investment. She was able to do it herself and with her dad. Now, that is not necessarily available to us all. So, and maybe, I don't remember, she bought it for about $3,000, $4,000. I don't remember. And then spent several months. That could work. Or maybe you can do mobile pop-up in such a way that it is more enclosed as opposed to just a tent. And what her great idea was, and I think you could use this, is she would pull it in front of a boutique or a salon, in front of the wedding hall or whatnot, on the parking lot, and she didn't really pay much rent or no rent. They didn't mind having her out front because she's not disturbing anyone. Now, mind you, okay, before, and I remember someone saying, oh, it varies state to state, and depending on whether or not what the laws are, sometimes you have to have a special license to be able to sell off of the street. So there's that. But I think the most important thing is that it's the lifestyle. Now, I want to also share with you that one of my customers does a phenomenal amount of business doing weddings and bat mitzvahs. And now she's going through corporate, so corporate events, team building. You can have dental offices that are big, and you have all the dental assistants, and so it's all paid for. You have a number of people, and she only travels to those. And man, it's very lucrative. So now, mind you, there's also the other hybrid, which is you have a location a studio, a boutique, shared or not, and you go on your quieter days, you go, or when there's a festival event happening, you go to those locations and capture that business to cross promote and bring business, more traffic to your studio. So there's so many ways of doing this. It allows for a lot of creativity, but like I was saying, first and foremost, you need to reflect on the lifestyle, whether or not you enjoy traveling before you make the decision. I hope you've enjoyed that. Again, I am a wholesaler of premium quality chains and findings for permanent jewelry. I have been doing, I've been in the jewelry industry for almost 30 years, and I've done lots of pop-ups. I've owned retail location, also a kiosk, retail location, as well as office, and a hybrid where it's office and wholesale customers come in. So I'm hoping that this has sparked some sort of reflection and helped you in some way. I'm going to leave a link to my business, as well as a little bit more information on the Orion micro welder that I love so much.